I want to show you what has revolutionized the way I take notes, and it's using Spacemacs and Rome. In this video, I want to show you how I install it on Spacemacs, how I use it, and why I think it's pretty awesome, but that's probably going to be self-explanatory once we get into it. So let's get into it. Just install it. Thankfully, if you're using Spacemacs, although not everybody uses Spacemacs, might be using Doom Emacs or something like that. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, Emacs is just a text editor, but it's more than that. You know, one of those old text programs that just has a cult-like following, probably for a really good reason. You can do about anything in there, but it's just a way of editing text very quickly. And when I'm studying the Bible, that's exactly what I like, and that's the way I'm using it. So let's jump in and do it now. This is a much bigger screen as far as the font size that I'm used to when I'm typing out, so it's going to look a little cramped here, but I think it'll be good enough for demonstration purposes. To install, you can use the Melpa, which is just almost like a package. It is a package manager for Emacs. So to do that, you hit space on Spacemacs. Everything I'm using is inside Spacemacs. Is install, and then once you install, you want to hit org, type in org Rome. Now, I've already installed it, but you hit enter right there, and it'll begin to install it. Space FED, this jumps you into your .spacemacs, your configuration file, where everything goes. And so you want to type out, in this section, the configuration layers, you want to type out, get to it in a second, org Rome. You want to type out org Rome once you jump in here. And then, I don't need this, but I've seen other people need this. I mean, not other people. This is in the .files. You want to install either Emacs SQL or SQL, Emacs SQL or SQL Lite 3. I don't know how you say that, but that's how I'm going to say it. And then you want to, we're kind of all doing this at once, but more sense, different way. But I'm going to go with this one. As you're rolling, I add this personally. This is just a shortcut to where I can hit Control-C-I, and that automatically does org Rome in wherever I'm at, and that's a great way of making quick little links there. Next, where else here? Find it. There it is. Then you want to add this to your file here. And this will probably vary if you're on Mac or Windows, where you want to put it. You want to make sure this file is here, and then we're about to create this file, the stuff that's in it. You want to add this here. And what this does, it just tells you you're about to create a file that has all different hotkey shortcuts, Emacs, and where to put our org Rome and where to put the database. So create this, put it there, go ahead and create that. To create it, we X. So you can type all this out, or it can autocomplete tab, but if you're doing it for the first time, you can just type it out and then hit enter. It'll actually create those different subdirectories if you don't have those already built in. So you probably already have private, but you probably don't have org Rome if you're doing it the first time. So type out org Rome and hit slash there. Then type out packages. I don't need to do this because it's already there, but for your sake, I'll do it. And then hit enter. That's going to create a file. It's going to be a blank file. It's not going to look like this, but you're going to make it look like this by adding this text. This text will be inside the link, so you can just copy and paste it, hopefully make your life a little bit easier. But note, right here is an org Rome directory. You're going to want to customize this to wherever you want to put your database. This is where your notes will be created. This is where it's going to go look to find notes. This is where your database is probably going to go. Right there is where you want to put it. You can put it in a Dropbox folder. You can put it in a Google Drive folder. You can put it on a thumb drive, I guess. But put it somewhere where you can find it. I put it on my home directory because I like it there. So here you go. And then you can begin to see some of the keys you can use here, and you can customize this later if you want to, but here's the text. Save it. And then I would suggest right here, go ahead and at this point, go ahead and restart Emacs. And it's probably not going to take you very long to restart it, but what'll happen is that it's going to create a database, and this database is going to create the backlinks of what are the backbone, really, of org Rome. Org Rome is based off of a file system called Rome Research. You may have heard of that if you're in the Note Productivity section. It's a really cool program, and I like the fact that somebody was really cool and put it inside Spacemacs, so I don't have to leave Spacemacs because I like living in Spacemacs. A lot easier to live life there. So here we are. Let's begin to go through what it looks like using this program. Now, I'm going to use hotkeys that are specifically for Spacemacs. So to find a file is space ARF. That's going to do the org find file key there. So here are all my files in here, and it's fuzzy. So to do that, let's begin to type in like Proverbs. I've got all the books of the Bible on here, what I use. And you can begin to see, oh, hey, it's got all the files that use the book of Proverbs. I've hit like 1. It's going to have every note that has the 1 in it. Hit like 2. There's only 1 file that does that, and that's don't have 1 file that does that, so there, it's going to be right there. So I'll hit enter, and I'll jump into Proverbs chapter 12. That's how you can find files very fast, so you don't have to spend much time messing around to find the files. Just like that. All right, so that's great for finding files, but if you wanted to create a file, you can also do that very fast too. So let's create a file called org Rome demo file thing. And it's going to create this org capture buffer. And there's some benefits of doing it this way. So you can either begin to start typing everything out and just begin to populate it, although you're limited to what org capture can do inside here. So I will just create the file, and there it is. Save it, and notice that whenever you add whenever you add text and you save it, it'll go at the bottom here. So you can't see the bottom. So up and whoops again. So when I create something and I hit save, it'll say at the bottom there, org database updated while during idle. So there, it created this file there that I updated. So cool. That's a quick way to create files, and so you can create another file. And this is not another key set. It's just the same org file finder that if it doesn't find the file, it'll just create one. So let's do org demo thing. Similar name, not the same. There it is. I created it. I can go add some text and save it. All right, now I've got 2 files quickly created, saved them. They're in the database now. Awesome. Now let's link some files together. Let's say I want to, because this text is very important to me, I want to link this text to that other file I just created. Well, I can do that very quickly. And Spacemacs is -il, but inside mine, I created a cheat, a hotkey thing. Feels like cheating. A hotkey thing called from insert. It's just Control-C-I, and then it highlights this text. Now I don't have any files that are named whatever characters are, but if it was named that, it would like show ones that are similar, or at least have the same characters. So this is called org Rome demo thing. I want to link it to org demo file thing, and there you go. Now I've created it. There's a link. So you create notes, and now you're linking notes. Great. Let me just demo the way that it works whenever you create a note that has the same text, or that's a highlight that has the same text as your file. So Control-I. There's Proverbs chapter, well, there's all the Proverbs chapter 3 here, but I want this one. I hit enter, save it, go. Cool tip, I use it all the time. To get out of the insertion mode of Spacemacs, you hit FD very fast. Instead of hitting escape or Control-G, that gets you out of there. So I use that one all the time, and I don't know how they put it in there to use it that way, because it's not like you press them both at the same time and it works, but it works very well. And I really, really, really enjoy that. All right, so now I've got these here. Now let's begin to talk about the great feature of org Rome, which is the backlinks. And the backlinks are this database that's being created. It is looking and seeing wherever you link files to other files, and whenever you enter a file, it looks around and goes, oh, you have these files that are linked to this note, so here they are. So if I were to open up backlinks, I'm not going to have any backlinks. Why? Because I haven't linked any note to org-rome demo thing. But I did just link one to, let's clean this up. I did link one to org-rome debel file thing. I just showed you how I did that. Now notice here, it shows me that I just linked it. So there's no link in here. The link is where I just made right there. That seems a little bit confusing. I know it's confusing, but once you use it, you'll begin to see it and figure that out. But remember, it is not creating a link to where it's looking inside here. It's looking at the database saying, where has this file that we're looking at been linked to? Just that. Great little feature. Comes in handy. The more notes you have, the better this feature will become. All right, so that's awesome. So we've got hub link notes there, and that's fine. So then what becomes a great thing to do is that when I'm studying and it's called the Zettelkasten system, it is creating notes that are one idea per note. In other words, you're not writing a paragraph. You're writing a paragraph, but you're not writing anything bigger than a paragraph per note that you create. And what that does is it creates a bunch of small bite-sized notes that are linked all together, so that way you're not creating just one single hierarchy of notes here, and then to use this information somewhere else, you have to copy and paste it. It's going to be linked by links and by probably tags as well, and backlinks. So those are the ways things are linked together. And let me show you a demo of what this looks like. When we go to, I did a hashtag as like a tag system, but it actually works better if you use the actual tag system, which I'll kind of show you what that looks like right here. To use a tag system, I think I did it on Proverbs chapter 3 for the demo. Proverbs 3, there, yeah. You already saw it there, but you hit hashtag or pound sign plus Rome underscore tags colon and then whatever tags you want. So let's add another tag. Let's put in something really long and obnoxious. Wisdom literature, and it's saving it, and now it's updating it into the system. And now when I look it up again, look at that. All my tags are there, nice, and well, so many of them. Don't use a bunch of tags if you don't want this to be filled up with a bunch of things and it doesn't flush. I wish the tags were over on this side versus on this side, but oh great, I enjoy it. All right, that's how the tag system worked, but I was using a different system over here, but that's not the point of this video. So I'm creating these hub notes. Now inside of each of these, and let's get out of the backlinks, just looks a little cleaner, create another buffer, Spacemacs, that's W, or space W slash there. Let's go over to, oops. Sometimes you lost what exactly you're trying to do. Right here, though, we've got our different subsets of notes. So I've got a section about the character of Proverbs. I've really just looked at Proverbs chapter 1 time, but that's good enough for now. And here we are. So what I can do is I can look at each of these notes I have here. So right here, I can scroll through this, and here are the three groups of people. There is the simpleton, there is wisdom and folly, personified women who are saying, or these personified ideas as women who are saying, come, follow me, I'll give you what you want. It's up to the simpletons to decide who to go to. And the book of Proverbs composes of these 5 women. Yeah, wisdom and your wife, which are kind of the other thing. Then there's prostitute and the lady folly. And then there's a third one, which is mother. So that's kind of like the thing of the book. There's 5 women of Proverbs. So I've got a little note on that. A traditional way of taking notes seems to be that you would just have all this information in one big section called the introduction to the Proverbs, and it becomes this, 3,000, 4,000 word thing but this is all bite-sized and easier to read whenever you're going back and reviewing, because it's all chunked up together and it's find things. And to me, much easier to create because I'm not worried about when I'm creating a note where exactly is this going to go in the hierarchy. If I wanted to, in Spacemacs, you can hold on to Alt and move things around very easily. And index, org header tag, org header. But you can move things around like that and say, well, I want the 5 women, or I want the 2 women at the top. And you can move things around, and that's fine, that's quick, great. So that is how hub notes work when you have like an idea, several things that are coming together, and you're like, you know what? I don't want links to these others. I don't want tags. I want these in an area that's kind of laid out, some hierarchy attached to it, so it's easier to understand looking at it. Obviously not fully developed, and nothing in your Spacemacs, nothing in your Zettelkasten folder ever really should be fully developed. That's when you write something. It's all a process. It's all being created. It's all kind of moving and becoming at the same time. So let that thing sort of happen as you're working through. All right. And that's really a little bit of information about how I use it. Now, here's how else I use it. When I'm using Spacemacs, let's demo it in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1 here, and scroll up to the top and begin to talk a few. Actually, better. This is fine. So here's how I'm creating notes as I'm taking scripture. I'm reading through. I've got in the back of my idea of some themes that I know in the Gospel of Luke as I'm studying it, because I've read maybe an introduction, or I watched a video on it, or I've listened to a sermon or a lecture on the thing, and I go, okay, here are these 8 ideas, or however many ideas that there are. And then I'm walking through it, and when I find one, like right here, I'll just add a note here for the sake of it. I go, oh, here's a note. Luke pays attention to this idea of piety. Let's link this note here to Luke's idea of piety. Now, I've added an asterisk inside the text, and I hit V then to highlight that. So now this asterisk is now highlighted. I can use my Control-C-I or comma R-I to insert a link here to this text. Now it's going to say, well, do you have a text that's asterisk? No, I don't. But I do have piety as a theme here, or as a note file. So I'm going to hit enter. Now, because I've already highlighted this text here, this asterisk, it's just going to take that highlight as the description of my text. Here's what happens when you don't do that. Let's say I'm going to add the same note right here. I'm going to hit comma. Nothing's highlighted. Control I. Let's find that piety again. Enter. And look at that big old fat note. Now, I think that's actually uglier than what it normally looks like. So let's add it over here. I piety. Yeah. So there's that big old note there, and it's long, and it's like hard to read as you're reading through it. And again, it's a little cramped here just the way that I'm doing this, but you get the idea. It's long. It's just too much. So that's why I add asterisks, and there's my notes right there. And if I want these kind of elongated, what I do is hit the database section here, where let's go back and delete that, and then here are where some of these notes are at in text. Now this is not synced up according to where it occurs sequentially, so this top note is not the first note that you see. I don't know how to fix that. Maybe somebody who's better at this than I am can show me how to fix that, or at least make a comment and then fix that. That's cool. But for right now, that's just how it works, and that's fine. You can highlight it, and you'll notice there underneath there you have Luke's orderly account. Here's my little note about Luke creating an orderly account there. All right, and so that's how I'm creating notes. And you can do that very fast once you get going, once you have some ideas of how you want to take notes through a book. Really, really great. I think that's really the main gist of how I wanted to explain how I use org roam. There's some other things to do. There's some graphing stuff that's probably pretty cool to look at. But for right now, this is how I'm using it. This is how I think you could use it too. This is a great way to take notes and a great way to link notes together and come up with new ideas as you create these crazy connections with you. So why I think this is awesome is I'm using some of the mouse here kind of for demonstration purposes, but as I'm using Spacemacs, I'm not using the mouse. I'm using just the keyboards. And that's part of the beauty of Spacemacs, because it's got the Vim key bindings, which are made for not using the cursor. So that's a wonderful feature. So I'm never using my mouse, which is great, because sometimes if I use my mouse too much, my wrist gets to get hurt a little bit. Probably some sort of carpal tunnel thing. Whatever. It doesn't happen when I'm just using my keyboard all the time. So because of that, that's great. Less pain, and it's fast. Like really, really fast. Like you can get going if you're not trying to show somebody else how to use it. And you just start flying. And third, why I think this is a great system, and this is why I've really been looking for a system like this, is that it's future proof. Something like Notion has its own proprietary note system. Yes, you can export it to Markdown, but in the end, you are working within a proprietary system that if Notion goes away, well, then. Now, Emacs uses org files, which in a sense are proprietary, but just about anything can read an org file. It's just a simple text file, but it plays really cool inside of Spacemacs. So if some reason Spacemacs or Emacs doesn't exist, I can still use some sort of other text editor and just change the extension and some of the markings from org mode to like Markdown mode and use Markdown mode. And it's very similar to Markdown, but a lot cooler. So that's why I like it. This is not going to go away. You know, you want to look for technologies whenever you're thinking about future-proofing, things that have already been around for a long time, not like new, novel ideas. This has been around long time. The operating system, which is not really an operating system, the text editor, Emacs, has been around since like the 70s. So it's been around a long time as it concerns computing technologies. So I assume, based on that, it's going to be here for a long time, which is why I like using it. And yeah, it's tough to learn at the beginning. Once you get going, oh, you can get going on this thing. I mean, I don't know anything else that you can fly so fast with without using your mouse. Which is huge benefit. All right, last bit of advice before we head on out and end this thing is this: when you're beginning to create these sort of notes and files and stuff, you're gonna think through, you know, what should my first note be, and how do I create a good hierarchy system, and how can I remember the way to get back to these notes, and what about when I have like 1,000 notes and I'm trying to sort through those things, and maybe you're thinking like what I did in the beginning of all this, just all the ways that things could go wrong in the future, but you're trying to future-proof your notes. You got the system that works, and it's going to be around for a long time, so here's this. Treat it the way that Niklas Luhmann, the creator of the Zettelkasten system, treated his own Zettelkasten system, which is just a German term for slip box. It's a septic tank. It's a septic tank. It is a place where all of your ideas come together, they swirl around, and they mess around. And sometimes, you know, there's some places in his own Zettelkasten system he never really went to. But then he had the hub spots where he had a bunch of notes connected to other notes, and that's where the good stuff happens. So in the beginning, just create. Just write out silly little ideas, and maybe later on you think, well, those were dumb, I'll delete them. You delete them if you want, but you're already moving past that and creating better notes. So that would be my advice when you're jumping into a system like this and creating notes and using something like Org Rome, is just begin to create. Linking notes, learn how to link notes. I mean, you begin to just get it. To create, to find, to link. It'll become, once you get in the zone, you start moving. And I really love that feature about this. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. If you made it this far, I would appreciate if you like this video, if you liked it, and give it a sub if you want to look at more content looking at some Spacemacs and Emacs stuff. But mainly what I'm doing is how to study the Bible. And this is, I found the best tool to do that thus far when it comes to taking notes. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, on and join me with the ride. I'll do some other stuff really about how to study the Bible, but this is a great tool that I think is worth jumping into and learning. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next one.